Is it any good, really?
It really is. I mean, if you just smelled it, if you looked at it and you smelled it, you would say no. But when you taste it, it's so good.
Oh. Well, what's up, guys? This is Daniel from Arms Family Homestead, and as you can see, we are out in the garden today and trying to get this fall garden to be a success. So you guys saw just a few weeks ago, we planted a ton of seeds with our soil block maker into tiny little soil blocks, and that is what I'm planting today. So this is two little, I believe these are pak choi or tatsoi. I think this is the pak choi. I'll probably grab one of those and pinch it off and thin it down so there's only one per soil block. But look at that cute little soil block. It's got roots growing out the bottom, if they'll focus on camera. And we're just planting those out. I've also got all these greens that we planted earlier in the year. But a lot of people were, when we planted the soil blocks, had a lot of questions. A lot of folks were kind of skeptical about the soil block maker and why we use it. And they said it's kind of pricey, which the little soil block maker that makes 4 of these little individual soil blocks on Amazon is like $28 or $30 or something. And in my opinion, it's an excellent investment, because if you went to a garden center and you bought a 6-pack of spinach or kale or, you know, whatever, lettuce even, a 6-pack's going to run you, depending on where you go, $2.99 to $4.99 probably. And not to mention, you're very limited on the varieties you can pick. You're very limited on what you can even get at the garden centers in the fall. So those 6-packs add up in a hurry when you consider you can plant thousands of these little seeds for your fall garden. And the reason my wife and I really enjoy our fall garden is because we juice a lot. And a lot of you guys have been asking for us to do another juice making video. And that's what we're going to do in just a little bit. I'm going to harvest a lot of these greens. So we've got some collard greens down there. We've got some cabbage. We've got some broccoli. All of those greens make excellent greens to add into our juice, which we mix with things like apples and oranges and carrots and beets and all the good stuff. But anyways, I got a lot of stuff done. I'm going to go ahead and go make my juice. It's getting kind of warm in the greenhouse. The sun's starting to creep in on me over there. And then I'm going to plant some of these little soil blocks in those roll around patio planters that I showed you earlier in the year. I planted a bunch of stuff in seed already, but we're going to plant some of these soil blocks to kind of do a little bit of a comparison. I'll show you how they're doing. But one other thing I wanted to show you, I absolutely love my drip irrigation system in my raised beds. That's one of the downfalls of my self-wicking tubs that I use. Now I've seen Leon put these things, you know, where they're touching and then run drip tape down them. I haven't done that in my greenhouse just yet. But as far as the raised beds go, the drip irrigation is the way to go. because the drip system, it drips water slowly. And I want you to think about it like this. If you had a huge sponge and you took a 5-gallon bucket and you just dumped all the water on it real quick, is that sponge going to really soak everything up as well as it would if you took that same big huge sponge and you poked a couple holes in that bucket and it just dripped and slowly absorbed into that sponge? Well, the soil in my raised beds is kind of like that sponge. So as you can see in the drip irrigation bed here, the soil is pretty consistently evenly moist. It's not saturated, and then when you dig down it's not dry. Well, I planted some soil blocks out. These are all beets that I planted today, and this bed has been turned off. The drip irrigation has not been on because there's really nothing growing in it. So I didn't really prep it ahead of time, but you guys watched me water these in. I know they look super wilted right now, but trust me, in a few hours these little beets will all perk up. But I watered these in very, very well with the hand wand on the water hose, and the soil looks nice and moist. But watch this. If I just dig down just an inch or even less, the soil is just dry. And I'm telling you, I soaked this thoroughly. So hand watering, you know, you lose a lot of that water. It doesn't really absorb down into the root system of the plants like you think it would, because literally it's mud on top and it's just dirt. I mean, just dry dust right there. So that's a little bit of why I prefer a drip irrigation system. So let's go ahead, pick a few vegetables and go in the house, throw them in our juicer. Before we get started, I'll tell you, my wife and I use a Breville Big Squeeze. It's a slow churn juicer. It's kind of pricey, but we've juiced for, Emily is 12 years old, and we were juicing when she was a baby. Our first juicer was a Breville Juice Fountain Plus, and it's like, I want to say it's about $140 on Amazon, but it'll last you forever. We gave it to my mother-in-law when we bought our other one because we wanted to try the slow churn, because it's supposed to get more juice out of the greens. But there's not a lot to it. The reason we started juicing was because of a documentary on Netflix called Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead. I think it's on YouTube now too, so if you want to go check it out, go watch it. I know a lot of you are going to say you miss out on a lot of fiber when you juice, but we're not on like a juice fast. We don't just juice and not eat. We still eat a lot of vegetables and fruits and meat and dairy and all that stuff. So yeah, we're missing out on a little bit of fiber, but it sure is a great way to start our day with that juice. So let's pick some of these awesome looking greens and head in the house. I feel like there's a stranger in my house.
Maybe.
Who's this woman with all the straight hair?
That would be me.
Did you forget to get a perm?
No. I don't get perms.
Are you sure?
I'm sure.
Because I haven't seen you with straight hair in like 6 months.
It's been a while. Nobody recognized me at the ball game last night. It was nice.
I like it. Not that nobody recognized you. I like the straight hair.
Oh, okay. Well, it's too much work to do it very often.
All right, my juicing queen, juice away.
Oh, you're waiting on me. You said you were making the juice.
I can't hear you. The juicer's on.
Is that what it is?
It's just apples and carrots.
More than that.
So what all did you put in there then? I'm pretty sure everybody saw it, but
What was that?
it was a mixture of collard greens and broccoli and maybe a cabbage leaf or two.
Ah, okay.
Just fall greens from the garden.
Gotcha.
Fall greens from the garden, apple, carrot, pineapple.
The pineapple's not from the garden.
And 3 cucumbers that were from the garden. 3 little small cucumbers. Getting clogged up. Gotta give it a chance to breathe. Frosted mug. The only way to go.
Yep. Cheers. 2 highs. That's what Houston used to. Was it Houston?
Yeah.
Yeah, he would say 2 highs.
Because Nanny was telling him to us. And he thought she was saying 2 highs.
That's
Not
good.
sure why.
That's good stuff.
Is it any good, really?
It really is. I mean, if you just smelled it, if you looked at it and you smelled it, you would say no. But when you taste it, it's so good.
I can't even get you to say that about the food that I cook.
That's
unless
not true.
It's fish.
You've done much better lately.
Oh, yeah?
Much better. Not as random as it used to be.
Must be the pellet grill. Now, like I said earlier, I'm not going to lie and say we juice every day. We go through spurts where we do. And I know a lot of people are going to be like, oh, you're just wasting all those vegetables and fruit and stuff. But we absolutely love it. We can tell the difference in the way we feel when we juice. And it's delicious once you acquire a taste for the greens.
It's a good cleaner outer.
It will clean you out, flush the system, works rapid, tastes delicious. And if you're ever going to try to get into juicing, I would suggest starting off with more fruit, less vegetables, and then work the vegetables in there. There's so many things that are excellent to juice, like beets. We juice a ton of beets. Really good for your blood, really good for your heart. Cucumbers are like almost completely water. If you're going to juice greens, things like Swiss chard and bok choy have a lot of water content and not a strong taste. If you try to juice, start off juicing things like collard greens, kale, and spinach, yeah, or even lettuce. You can juice lettuce, but it's going to give you more of that bitter taste. So work your way into some of those heavier greens, but it's delicious and we love it. So then that leads to the next big question is, what do you do with all the pulp after you juice? Now, some people use it for recipes and make certain kind of breads and things. We've never cooked with it. Typically, it either goes in a compost pile. You could also put it, which we don't have set up, but you could also put it in like a worm farm or some worm beds. Would be really good. Typically, ours just goes to either the pigs or the chickens. And mostly the chickens. They typically eat. They clean it up a lot better, so we'll give it to the chickens today. Some of y'all are missing out. Chickens are scattered everywhere right now. They're not all in here with the goat, or with the these two little goats at the moment, but They'll all get here. They'll eat. So these are the two self-watering planters for a patio. They're on wheels. These were sent to us by Green Stock Garden Planters earlier this year. I can move them around. And my thought process is here, we can put a lot of winter greens in these and then roll them around under the covered porch if the weather's going to get really cold. So I've kind of cleaned them up a little bit. This one still has some greens from the spring in it. It's really been neglected. I really haven't done anything with it in probably well over a month. Might have watered it once or twice, but they did really well in the spring until about mid-July, early August. I kind of let them go. And the concept here is these are self-watering, so you fill up the reservoir on the top, and then it actually has a spot where it goes down through the middle and through the holes, and it waters each individual layer one at a time. So we're going to go ahead and plant these up with some soil blocks from the garden, and then this planter, I started a lot of stuff from seed. We're going to have to thin it out. I planted way too many seeds in there, which is no big deal. We'll pull a few out. Some stuff didn't germinate, so we'll put some soil blocks in there, but this will give us a lot of greens really close to the house. So if it's cold outside and we don't want to go to the garden one morning, we can come down here, because a lot of our greens will survive most of the winter. Spinach, kale, Swiss chard, a lot of that stuff will survive most of the winter here in Oklahoma. So we'll get started planting. I got a few things. I'll show you what we have in here. Some beets, there's some spinach. It's pretty small, and like I said, this is planted way too thick. We'll thin it out, but this was planted at the same time these were. However, these were given a lot more attention. They were in a greenhouse, not on a partially shaded patio. But we'll get them planted up and watered in, and I think they'll do just fine right here on the patio and produce a lot of greens for us this winter. So really cool little things. Like I said, they sent these to us. We did a little promotional video for them. I'll leave a link in the description box so you can go check them out. They're kind of a neat planter. Should last a long time. They're pretty heavy duty. Like I said, they're on wheels, and each layer comes apart, so you don't have to get this many layers. You could just get 3 tiers if you wanted, but they're called Green Stock Garden Planters, and pretty neat. So let's get them planted up. So as you can see, my wife and I grow a lot of greens because we like to literally drink our garden, especially in the fall and wintertime when you're not getting near as many of those fruits and vegetables in your life. Juicing is a great way to get a lot of those nutritious greens in your diet. So like I said, we also eat the greens. We have salads and things from the planters and all that good stuff, but we really do think juicing is good for our health. We feel better when we do it. Now, I've never done a full-on juice fast where you do nothing but juicing for days on end, you know, a couple weeks or something. Never tried that, but I'm not a doctor and I'm not a nutritionist, so if you want to do something like that, you better check in on your health first. But there's a lot of people that do juice fast for, you know, a week or 10 days or 2 weeks or something and really lose a lot of weight. But it's a good way to clean out your system, if nothing else. I can promise you that. But the fall garden's coming along well. Everything in the greenhouse is growing amazingly. The little soil blocks are so easy to plant, or to make and plant and grow. Can you guys hear Steve in the background? He thinks it's dinner time, even though it's only like 12:30. But so yeah, that's about all I've got for today. Like I said, I'll leave a link in the description box to these Green Stock garden planters if that's something you're interested in to put on your patio. They did work really well this summer. Obviously, they don't grow as well as the greenhouse, but it's a greenhouse and everything's a little bit different in there. And our patio is shaded a lot of the day, so they probably don't get quite as much sunlight as they need. But I really think as the leaves fall we'll have a lot more sunlight here on our patio, and these things should do really, really well through the fall and most of the winter. So we'll see. We're gonna test it out. You guys know that I love testing out all kinds of different ways of gardening and growing food, whether it's hydroponic greens or the self-wicking tubs, raised beds, the greenhouse, the roll-around planters, all kinds of different stuff. I just love experimenting with gardening and showing you guys all different ways that I can come up with, or I can think of, or I can imitate from somebody else on how to grow food for your own health. So anyways, guys, that's all I've got for today. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Y'all have a great day, and as always, we'll see you on the next video.